Welcome to BVP's Top 3. I'm Drew Zahn, Director of Communications with the Family Leader. With me is Bob Vanderplots, the President and CEO of the Family Leader, breaking down 3 of the biggest news stories that you will see this week or have seen this week and weekend. Now, one note of introduction today. Normally you catch BVP's Top 3 on the Steve Deace Show on Blaze TV, but this happens to be Labor Day week. Bob typically appears on a Monday. That was Labor Day, so we're taking time out from our schedules to record this for you today, but typically it'll be Steve and Bob talking, not Drew and Bob.
I gotta tell you, this is kind of refreshing though, that is Drew and me and not Steve. You know, don't say that to Steve. We're still looking forward to BVP's Top 3. It's gonna be a great segment. Glad you're tuning in.
All right, so let's get started right away. One of the big stories from the weekend, in fact, you mentioned a little bit about this issue last week, BVP's Top 3, talking about Donald Trump and his stance on the abortion issue in general, which has been muddy. But over the weekend, big news coming out of Florida and how Donald Trump is handling abortion. Let's talk about that.
Well, it's huge news, Drew, and you know this, Steve Deace knows this. We were very concerned about the messaging last week, coming out of the former president and then J.D. Vance and Lila Rose, you know, a big pro-life voice in the country saying, you know, he's lost my vote. As a matter of fact, the people that are tuning into me, I'm almost encouraging them not to vote for him either. And I think the message really got to him that do not take the pro-life community for granted. You may not be all the way where, say, I am or say Lila Rose is or Marjorie Dannenfelser is, but you need to deliver for them. And he came out, and I think with really, really good advice and said, I'm voting no on Amendment 4. And he didn't say, I'm voting no on Amendment 4 and just left it at that. He really called it out for what it was, saying, this is radical, it's out of the mainstream, nobody in America is for abortions up to the time of birth, taxpayers pay for it, no parental consent. It's barbaric. It's really putting Kamala Harris on the defensive on this issue. So huge news for President Trump and his campaign. You've now rallied the base. I saw Lila Rose tweet a thank you to the president. I believe she's back in his camp now. A huge deal. And I know Governor DeSantis and Casey DeSantis are thrilled with the former president's support, or not support for Amendment 4.
Exactly. Good clarification there, and also clarification. Amendment 4, a ballot measure in Florida. Donald Trump is a resident of Florida. So when he talks about voting, he means it literally going to the ballot booth and voting on the issue.
And one of his big talking points is that with the overturn of Roe v. Wade, we put the issue back to the states. And now he's a Florida resident, so now he's got to vote. He's got to weigh in on this thing. And so we're thrilled for him to say, I'll be voting no on Amendment 4. For all of our viewers here, follow suit. Vote no on Amendment 4.
Big national news there. Let's move international for point number 2 in BVP's Top 3. Israel had just a horrible story come out of the weekend that Hamas, some of the hostages, they've killed those hostages, a group of 6, I believe it was. And now people are calling on Netanyahu to stop the fighting. Your thoughts on some of those calls, Netanyahu's stance, what's going on with Hamas and Israel?
Well, first of all, for those of us at the Family Leader, myself, our hearts just go out to the families and to the friends of the loved ones, to the whole Israeli community. This is devastating, that they would kill 6 hostages. And Drew, when you take a look, there's going to be a myriad of voices. When you're a leader, you understand that there's going to be those like, look how many Palestinians are being killed. So you see the pro-Palestinian rallies on college campuses. Now you have Israelis rallying, basically saying, you know, you have to do a ceasefire, free these hostages. It's ridiculous. But for a group funded by Iran who did October 7, who raped, murdered, tortured, dismembered Israelis, and now who murdered 6 hostages, you are not going to be able to take these guys at their word. Their word means nothing. You know who they are. So really, as my heart, thoughts, and prayers go out to the family and to the friends of these hostages who lost their lives, my thoughts, prayers go out to Netanyahu as well. Because you need to eradicate this. And he wants to do it. He also wants to free the hostages as well. Leadership is complicated. He's doing it in a delicate manner. There'll be plenty of time to, once you defeat Hamas and eradicate it, there'll be a lot of time to see what went right, what went wrong. But right now, we stand with the nation of Israel. Our hearts go out to those families who lost loved ones.
Important point to remember, and you're highlighting it there. If Hamas is willing to kill 6 hostages, they've demonstrated they're willing to kill hundreds, thousands more. If you let them breathe now, it won't just be 6 faces on the screen in the next month, in the next year. It'll be thousands upon thousands. Hamas needs to be ended now.
Yeah. We stand with the nation of Israel, and we pray for Netanyahu and all the leaders making these tough decisions.
Yeah, tough decisions, hard issues. Last of the BVP's top 3, lighten it up a little bit. I understand you and Darla went and saw a movie recently. It's in theaters. I saw it at my local theater, but I haven't seen the film yet. Tell me your thoughts on the movie Reagan.
Well, you know, Darla and I honestly couldn't wait for Reagan to come out in theaters. So right away Friday night, we got our tickets, we got our popcorn, we actually got a burger and fries too, and it was actually pretty good. And we took in the movie Reagan. Now, Darla and I was going to tell something about our age, but we lived this. We lived the Cold War, the Soviet Union versus U.S., and Reagan's leadership, Margaret Thatcher's leadership, Pope John Paul II's leadership. Tear down this wall, Mr. Gorbachev. I mean, we remember all that stuff. It's a fascinating movie. It's a great walk down memory lane. It's a good movie about history, but it's also a movie about leadership. And leadership that brings out the best of this country and the impact that is felt across the globe. When you leave, I guarantee you'll be inspired, you'll be uplifted, and there's almost a call of urgency that we need that type of leadership again today. So that's our prayer. I would say get the popcorn, get the soda, get whatever you need to have, buy the ticket, go out and see the movie Reagan. You'll be blessed by it.
Thank you for joining us, Bob, and thank you for joining us on BVP's Top 3. You can see more of these episodes on the BVP's Top 3 YouTube channel, or check us out at thefamilyleader.com. And in future weeks, it won't be me, it'll be Steve Deace. You can check it out on the Steve Deace Show.
So pray for me, BVP's Top 3.
There it is.